Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, second year MBBS. Hope you all are good and fine at home and doing well. Today I am starting the new topic of histology, that is histology of endocrine system. So first of all, have a look on the location of certain endocrine glands present in the body. Endocrine gland is the gland which is producing the action through one biological messenger, that is the hormone, and through the circulation the hormone is going to produce the desired action at the remote organs. And this is the ductless glands. As you have seen already that all the exocrine glands in the body, they have certain ducts and they are pouring their excretion through the duct system. But the endocrine glands lack the ducts, so these are known as ductless glands, and these are producing the desired action through hormones. So certain endocrine glands which are present in the body, this is definitely, you have seen the hypothalamus, which is releasing the regulatory hormones to produce, to control the various hormonal secretion of the other glands. So you can say that the endocrine glands which are present in a discrete organ form, these endocrine glands are endocrine glands proper. This is the pituitary gland, which is located here in the pituitary fossa in the brain. Then is the thyroid gland, present in the midline of the neck. There is the suprarenal and the adrenal gland, which is located over the superior pole of both kidneys. And there is the pineal glands. Along with the thyroid, there is parathyroid gland. There are certain glands which are present in the form of clumps and cords, which are going to produce the hormones in certain organs. These are the heart, which is producing the natriuretic peptide, that is atrial natriuretic peptide ANP. It is acting as a hormone. The kidney, that is very important, which has renin angiotensin type of the hormone. The adipose tissue is releasing the leptin. The digestive tract, that is having very important diffuse and discrete neuroendocrine system, which is present in the walls of the gastrointestinal tract. Then you have seen that in the pancreas, that is having both components, exocrine as well as endocrine, where there is the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas. And in the gonads, in the testes, it is producing the testosterone, and in the female ovaries, they are going to produce the estrogen and the progesterone. So these are the various hormones and their respective endocrine organs, which are the endocrine glands located in the different areas. So the endocrine glandular tissue, which is present in the human body, this is arranged either in a form of isolated unicellular arrangement, as this is seen in the heart, where they are producing the atrial natriuretic hormone, and the juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney, which are arranged in a unicellular manner, and then they secrete their respective hormones. The cells, the glandular cells, these are either present in a form of cords and clumps, making the clusters of the cells. And these cords and clumps, or these clusters, these are normally seen in the parenchyma of the endocrine gland propers, but sometime in the parenchyma of the exocrine gland, there are the cluster of the cells present which are having the endocrine function. And you know, its very best example is the pancreas, where islets of Langerhans cells, these are arranged in a form of cluster in the parenchyma of exocrine glandular component of pancreas. Then there is very important gland, the thyroid gland, which is having very notable structure in which the endocrine cells are organized into follicular manner. They are arranging themselves and making the spherical follicles, and then the cells are releasing their secretions into the lumen of that follicle, which can be stored. Then there is certain neurosecretory cells which are present in a diffused manner, and that is mostly and typically seen in the mucosa of the digestive system, as well as these are present in the respiratory system. In the endocrine, in these cases, the endocrine cells are found to be scattered among the exocrine secretory cells, and then they are going to known as diffuse neuroendocrine system, DNES. So in the diffuse neuroendocrine system, these are the neurosecretory cells which are present in the mucosa of the gastrointestinal tract. And then these cells have the capability to take up the amine precursors, and then they can produce the hormones and release them. Developmentally, these cells are derived from the neural crest cells. So, now you must understand that there are these four certain specific types of the endocrine glandular tissue, which is arranged either in a unicellular manner, or they are making cords or clumps, or organized into the follicular manner, or there are certain the diffuse neuroendocrine cells, which are the neurosecretory cells present in the mucosa of the gastrointestinal tract and respiratory tract, where there is not only having a secretory function, but they are having the neuronal control. So the basic backbone in the endocrine system is the hormone. Hormones by definition are the biological molecules that function as the chemical signals. And these hormones are classified chemically. They are steroids, which are composed of the steroids. These are hormones which are produced from the gonads, as the testosterone from the testes and estrogen and progesterone from the ovaries. These are having the steroid composition. And the hormones from adrenal cortex, these are also the steroid hormones. The other hormones are having the protein composition. So these are the proteins, having proteins in them basically. These are insulin, FSH and ACTH. The amino acid derivatives hormones, which are derived from the amino acids, these are the epinephrine and the thyroxine, which is released from the thyroid gland, and epinephrine is released from the adrenal medulla. Then there is the fourth category, in which the hormones are derived from the arachidonic acid. So these are arachidonic acid derivatives hormone, and these are prostaglandins, prostacyclins and the leukotrienes. And I hope from your knowledge of physiology and biochemistry, you can very well understand all these composition of the. These hormones are transported through different modes of transport towards their respective target cells to produce the desired action. First of all, the most important and the more common type of the mode which is present in the human body is that endocrine mode of transport of the hormones, which is through the endocrine glands, as they are producing and they are releasing their secretions into the circulatory system, and then through that circulatory system these hormones they reach towards their target cells, which are present at the remote sites or remote areas. So the endocrine glands, they are going to be present at a different location, and then their response is going to be identified at remote areas, and their messenger, which is the hormone that is passing through the circulatory system. So that is a ductless here in endocrine gland. You have seen that no ducts are present, so these hormones need to have these certain type of the components which are passing or which are transporting their hormones to the target cells. The next one is the paracrine mode of transport, in which the cells which are producing the hormones or the cytokines, they are going to produce a localized type of humoral cellular communication, that one cell is producing these hormones and then it diffuses into the extracellular fluid, and from that extracellular fluid it reaches to the neighboring cells. So that is paracrine mode of the transport of hormones. Next is the juxtacrine mode, in which the hormone that is produced by one cell, it is directly going to interact with the receptors located on the adjacent cell. So that is producing very closer response, just one cell to the other cell. So hormone that is produced by one cell and its receptor is located to the adjacent cell, which is responding to that chemical messenger. The next one is the autocrine type or autocrine mode of transport of the hormones, in which this name is indicating that the chemical messenger by a one cell that is released and it bind to the receptors located on the surface of the same cells. So the cell which is producing that hormone, the response is also going to be present on that same cells as its receptors are located on the surface of the same cell. That is autocrine mode. So here you have seen there are four modes. These are the modes of transport of hormones to their respective target cells: the endocrine, paracrine, juxtacrine, and autocrine. And I have told you that the most common type and this variety which is present in human body is the endocrine mode of. So today I am starting with you the very important endocrine gland which is present in the human body, that is adrenal gland. So I am continuing with the histology of the adrenal gland today. Adrenal glands are the paired organ. These are paired endocrine glands which are present on both sides. They are located on the superior pole of the both kidneys. They are either triangular shape or half moon-like semi-lunar shape adrenal glands which are embedded in the adipose tissue surrounding the upper pole of the right and left kidneys. Examination of the fresh section of adrenal gland shows that this is composed of two concentric layers. The outer one, the peripheral one, that is the yellowish, and the thickened layer in the adrenal gland, and this is known as adrenal cortex. Then the innermost, that is thin as compared to that adrenal cortex, this is reddish in color, and this is known as adrenal medulla. So on gross examination of the section of a adrenal gland, it revealed that there are two concentric portions of the adrenal glands. The outer peripheral thickest one is the adrenal cortex, and the one which is located internally and it is thin as compared to the cortex, this is adrenal medulla. As you seen in the section of the adrenal gland, that here there is two parts which are present. These are the cortex and medulla, and these adrenal cortex and medulla, these are going to arise from different embryonic germ layers. The adrenal cortex is arising from the mesoderm, and the adrenal medulla, that is going to be derived from the neural crest cells. So these neural crest cells, they are giving rise to certain cells in the adrenal medulla, which are known as the modified postganglionic cells, which are just resembling the postganglionic neurons, but they are devoid of the dendrites and axons. So these two parts, they are not only having different, naturally these adrenal cortex and medulla are going to have different cells. So you can see here that the adrenal cortex, that is the more thickened part, the major part present peripherally, this is going to be having certain cells present here which are mesodermal in origin, and the adrenal medulla, which is the inner portion, that is red in color, and when you see them in the gross examination, this is derived from neural crest cells. So the adrenal cortex and the cells which are present in adrenal medulla, these are having the main secretory units of the endocrine gland. So you can label them that these are the parenchyma of the endocrine gland. So I hope you know very well that a glandular structure is composed of the parenchyma and stroma. Parenchyma is making up the secretory functional unit of the glands, and these cells are supported by the stromal components. And the stroma here, that is a connective tissue component which is making up a capsule. So a capsule is surrounding the adrenal gland, and then that is sending the septas, very thin septas, inside internally into the endocrine gland, which is dividing the parenchyma of the adrenal gland into the trabecules. The capsule, that is connective tissue, and it is having very rich network of the reticular fibers, and then this is sending the septas inside, and these reticular fibers, when they are moving inward, they are also going to take the important blood vessels along with them. So these septas are very important for the passage of the blood vessels inside into the gland. And then these septas, which are mainly composed of the reticular fibers, they are also having very important role in supporting the secretory cells present in the parenchyma of adrenal gland. Now focus on this adrenal cortex. You can see this is going to have these three distinct parts. First of all, just beneath the capsule, there is zona glomerulosa, which is making up the 15% of total volume of adrenal cortical parenchyma. Then the next one is the thickest part, which is known as zona fasciculata. This is going to have the almost 80% of total volume of adrenal cortex. And the rest 7% almost, that is made up of different cells which are making that zone known as zona reticularis. So the adrenal cortex in the adrenal gland is divided into three important zones which are having three distinct parts of the secretory cells. These are zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and zona reticularis. And then internally there is the adrenal medulla. So the three zones which you have seen in the previous slide, they are releasing different hormones, and in this adrenal cortex mainly the hormones are steroid hormones. The zona glomerulosa, that is the outer one layer, that is producing mineralocorticoids, which is aldosterone. So this is released from zona glomerulosa. The zona fasciculata is releasing the glucocorticoid hormones, which is most important is the cortisol. And zona reticularis, that is mainly producing weak androgens. These are dehydroepiandrosterones. So all these hormones, these are going to released from their respective zone of the adrenal cortex, and all of them are the steroid hormones. Moving on to the structure, that is the histological structure of all these three zones of adrenal cortex. First of all, you have seen that just beneath the capsule is the zona glomerulosa. Here you can see this is the capsule, and this capsule that is having these blood vessels, then this is sending the septas inside to divide the adrenal gland into the trabecules. It is dividing it into the smaller lobules, and here that is conveying and sending all the blood vessels along with these septas. So they are providing the passage of the blood vessels inside into the gland. So just beneath the capsule you can see this is the zona glomerulosa. Here the cells are composed of columnar or pyramidal shaped cells which are arranged in the curved columns or arched chords. That's why these are known as glomerulus, which is just like the glomerulus, or these are glomeruli. So you can see here that this is one arch here, this is the arch and curved columns of the zona glomerulosa. So you can see here multiple glomeruli like structures which are present here in the zona glomerulosa. So here you can see these blood vessels which are the fenestrated type of the blood capillaries. As from your previous knowledge of general anatomy, you have seen that in the endocrine glands the fenestrated capillaries are present for the rapid absorption of the hormones, the secretions of these secretory cells which are present in this endocrine gland. Then you have seen that these cells are acidophilic, their cytoplasm is acidophilic, and the nucleus is darkly staining spherical nucleus which is present here, and they contain extensive smooth endoplasmic reticulum, very well developed Golgi apparatus, and large mitochondria with tubular cristae, and they are having very scanty lipid droplets. As definitely this is a steroid secreting cells, so they are having more extensive smooth endoplasmic reticulum which is helping to synthesize the steroid hormones inside the cells. The next zone is zona fasciculata, which is the thickest zone in the adrenal gland, in the adrenal cortex. It is covering its 80% of the volume, and here the cells which are polyhedral shaped cells, these are the larger cells and arranged in the straight cords. The cells are arranged in the straight cords of either one cell thick or two cell thick cords. Here you can see, and these are very lightly staining, having very lightly acidophilic cytoplasm with the light staining spherical nucleus, or even binucleated cells are also seen in certain areas. Here I can show you that this is the area which is showing you the binucleated cell, and again here is the cell which is showing you this binucleated cells. So there are certain areas it is also showing you the binucleated cells which are present in these cords of the polyhedral cells present in zona fasciculata. So these straight cords, either you can see they are running parallel to each other, but they are arranged at right angle to the peripheral surface of the adrenal gland. Here again having the extensive smooth endoplasmic reticulum with very well developed Golgi apparatus and mitochondria with tubular cristae. As you have seen that this smooth endoplasmic reticulum, that is very important again here, that this is producing steroid these are the steroid secreting cells which are producing steroid hormone, the glucocorticoids. So this smooth endoplasmic reticulum is very important. Here, in the cells of the zona fasciculata, there is the large amount of the lipid droplets. They are very numerous, but during the slide preparation and histological preparation, they are going to dissolved and they are vanished. So when these lipid droplets are dissolved, then they are giving this vacuolated appearance to the cell, because of what these cells are also known as the spongiocytes. So the next one is the zona reticularis, which is the innermost part, that is the innermost portion of the adrenal cortex, and it is making up the 7% of the cortical volume. Here this is composed of the polyhedral or rounded cells which are arranged in the clusters or branching anastomosing cords. These are the cords which are branching and then anastomosing. It looks like that. So this is the zona reticularis, and it is producing the weak androgens, as I have told you before. Here the cells are very smaller and they are acidophilic with darkly staining nucleus, but many of the cells present here are having shrunken pycnotic nuclei and having the lipofuscin pigment which is deposited in the cytoplasm of these cells, and the cells become larger. And these cells, they become like that, they just represent the dead or degenerating cells which are present in the zona reticularis. As these are producing the weak androgens, which is also the steroid hormone, so definitely in its structure it must have extensive smooth endoplasmic reticulum, very well developed Golgi apparatus and mitochondria, and again here the lipid droplets are very few. So this picture is showing you the ultrastructure of the cells which are present in the adrenal cortex. These are the cortical adrenalocytes, and actually this is the picture from zona fasciculata. Here you can see very important structure which is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and this smooth endoplasmic reticulum here, that is very large, and this is going to produce the steroid hormone. So these are synthesized and secreted in this smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Then this one is the very large Golgi apparatus here, that is again present because it has to process all of the secretions and the hormones which are secreted from the and synthesized from the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Here you can see this is the mitochondria here. These mitochondria is showing you the tubular cristae. They are very important for the lipid processing. So this is present here in the cells which are going to form and synthesize the steroid hormones. As we have already told you that in the cells of zona fasciculata there is the large droplets of the fat cells. So these lipid droplets, they are when going to dissolve out during the histological preparation, then they are giving the vacuolated appearance to the zona fasciculata, and that's why we label these cells as spongiocytes as well. So here this is the special ultrastructural picture, which is except that large droplets of the fat cells which are seen in the zona fasciculata, rest all is the same. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum are extensive, the large Golgi apparatus, the mitochondria with tubular cristae, these are present in all other zones, the zona glomerulosa and zona reticularis, but these zones are having very few lipid droplets. But in here fasciculata you can see many lipid droplets, giving it the vacuolated appearance, and then we label it as a spongiocyte. So this picture is covering all the ultra. So again here, to reinforce you that you have this adrenal gland which is either triangular or semilunar shape, having thick peripheral adrenal cortex and inner adrenal medulla. Today we are mostly focusing on the adrenal cortex, which is having three zones. Just beneath the zone that is present beneath the capsule of the adrenal gland is the zona glomerulosa, in which the cells are formed, arranged in the curved or arched columns resembling the glomeruli, and that's why known as zona glomerulosa. This is 15% of the volume of adrenal cortex. The next, where you have seen these straight cords of the polyhedral cells, which is the thickest zone, and this is making up the one cell thick or two cell thick cord of straight cords of the cells. This is the zona fasciculata. This is making up 80% of the adrenal cortex. There is the zona reticularis, where the cells are arranged. These are the smaller cells, but they are arranged as anastomosing or branching cords, and this is actually the 7% of the adrenal cortex, and then this is the zona reticularis. And all of them basically in the zona glomerulosa you are mostly see the fenestrated type of the blood capillaries, but in the fasciculata and reticularis mostly you have seen the sinusoidal capillaries which are present, which are for the rapid absorption of these hormones from these zones as well. So just have a look on the histological picture of all these three zones which are present in the adrenal cortex. First of all, beneath the capsule of the adrenal gland is that curved columns or cords, arched cords of the zona glomerulosa here. Then is the straight cords of polyhedral cells of zona fasciculata, and then there is the anastomosing and branching cords which are going to be present here in the zona reticularis. So this picture is showing you the histological slide of all the three zones. So now this is the picture for you people. I need that you have to summarize for me that what are different zones present here along with me. This is the capsule from beneath, please start from here. This is the capsule, and here you can see these glomeruli structures which are going to be present here, just like the arched cords or the columns, and here these are making up these glomeruli structures. So they are making the curved, this is showing you the curved column, the curved here again, this is the curved one. So these are arranged in the curved columns. So they are showing you the glomeruli like structure. So that is zona glomerulosa. So here you have seen the next zone where you have to see either the one cell thick straight cord which is present here making up this straight cord of the polyhedral cells, or there are the two cell thick cord which are arranged just in a straight columns. So these are making up here that cords, straight cords of the cells in the parenchyma of adrenal cortex, which are again the steroid secreting hormones. But yes, these are lightly staining zone, and this is going to have these very spongocyte like cells having vacuolated appearance because of very numerous fat droplets which are dissolved out during the histological preparation. Then is the smaller size cells which are arranged in the anastomosing cords and branching. This innermost area of the adrenal cortex is zona reticularis. Here the cells are small and they are slightly staining acidophilic cells, but here you can also see the degenerating cells with pycnotic nuclei and lipofuscin pigment deposition, which represents the dead or degenerating cells, and this is the zona reticularis which is producing weak androgens here. So this is all the structure which is starting from the capsule down, from beneath the capsule till here. This is the cortex of the adrenal gland, which is producing the steroid hormones, as from the zona glomerulosa this is producing the mineralocorticoids, the aldosterone hormone. The next one is the zona fasciculata, which is producing the glucocorticoids, especially the cortisol hormone. And the zona reticularis is producing weak androgens, just like the dehydroepiandrosterones. All of these are the steroid hormones, though in these cells you need to have more elaborated and extensive smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So one very important thing you must remember here, that is the fetal adrenal cortex, which is mostly present in the newborns at the time of birth. So at the birth in newborns, in humans, the adrenal gland, that is very large. It is larger as compared to the adults, because this is having one another zone which is present between the medulla and the cortex. This is produces up to 200 milligram of the corticosteroids per day, which is twice the level of an adult adrenal gland which is producing. At this age, a layer which is the fetal or provisional cortex, this is present, and that is mainly, this fetal or provisional cortex is mainly comprising the 80% of the total glandular structure in newborns. This is a layer which is present between the thin permanent cortex, that is the permanent adrenal cortex, which has to develop later on, but it is now very thin, and an underdeveloped medulla. In between these two layers, an other cortical thick layer is present in newborn, which is fetal or provisional cortex. So this fetal and provisional cortex, as I have told you, this is present in the newborn. This cortex is thick and contain mostly cords of large steroid secreting hormones, which is under the control of fetal pituitary gland, and its principal function is the secretion of sulfated dehydroepiandrosterones, again that is the weak androgen. So this layer, which is the fetal layer, fetal cortex, that is going to secrete this layer, which is, this is producing the sulfated dehydroepiandrosterone, sulfated DHEA, which is converted in the placenta into estrogen, active estrogen, and androgens, which is mostly enter into the maternal circulation through the placenta. So the fetal adrenal cortex, that is also an important part of the fetoplacental circulation or fetoplacental unit, through which these secretions of the adrenal gland, adrenal cortex, is going to be entered and passed towards the placenta, where it is converted into the estrogens, active estrogens. So at birth it is present, later on it has to going to disappear. Definitely after birth, this provisional cortex, it undergoes involution, and then, so here I am going to discuss with the clinical aspects associated with the adrenal cortex, and these are associated with the hormonal secretions of the adrenal cortical cells. So either in the glandular structure the secretions are high, then this is the hyperfunctioning gland, and if the secretions are low, these are the hypofunctioning glands. And I hope you have understand it very well in the physiology, so just relate it here. as well in the clinical aspects along with the histological studies. So first of all, very important hormone from very thick zona fasciculata, that is the glucocorticoids, which is releasing the cortisol hormone. So if it is releasing this hormone in excessive amount, that is leading to the hyper functioning adrenal cortex releasing increased amount of glucocorticoids, this is leading to the Cushing syndrome. Sorry. Then there is excessive release of the aldosterone that is associated with the Conn syndrome, and the excessive production of adrenal androgens, which is leading into the hirsutism, that is the abnormal hair growth in the females, but it has very little effects in the men. But in the women or females, this is leading to abnormal hair growths known as hirsutism. So this is the all conditions which is because of the hyper-functioning glands leading to the Cushing syndrome due to the increased glucocorticoids, Conn syndrome due to increased aldosterone, and increased androgens leading to the hirsutism in the females. Their physiological features of these syndromes, I hope and definitely you will study in physiology. Then is the adrenocortical insufficiency, when there is the hypofunctioning gland. This is leading to one condition, that is Addison's disease, and here this is because of the destruction of the adrenal cortex, either because of any disease or due to the autoimmune effects. Autoimmunity also affects the adrenal gland, leading to that Addison's disease, which is because of the decreased release of all the hormones from all zones of the adrenal cortex. Its signs and symptoms, they suggest a failure of secretion of both glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids by adrenal cortex. So I am giving you the assignment here that please write down all the clinical features or the physiological aspects of these diseases, the Cushing syndrome, the Conn syndrome, and Addison's disease. That is one of your assignment question. This is you can relate it from the physiology, from the book of physiology as well, because I know you have done with the endocrine system in second year physiology. So students, thank you very much for your patience. I have covered today the histological features of adrenal cortex. In my next lecture, I will continue on the adrenal medulla. So one thing, have you noticed that I have selected this background specially, which you can relate with your histological stains, that is just resembling the Eocene, which is the pink color, pink stain, and showing you the acidophilic histologically, and the stain which is this purplish blue, that purple and blue color that relate to the hematoxylin. So this is just resembling your histological stains.